What's up guys, it's Tube and today we're looking at if Dialga got a Mega Evolution in Sinnoh Remakes. If Dialga got a Mega Evolution, a Primal Reversion, Dynamax done a bit better. They could still do Dynamax if they just add an ability, typing, stats, that stuff. We're looking at it in this video and I got a cool idea. So when it comes to legendaries like this, like what I did with Regigigas, the main thing you need to do is not make it seem like what Game Freak originally did is now thrown out the window. You want to expand on what they already brought into us. So with Kyogre and Groudon, they expanded on those weather abilities. They didn't just take them out and give Groudon this kind of tectonic plate ability where it's a terrain. No, they made it harsh sunlight. Same thing with Kyogre. Not to spoil the Regigigas video, but in that video, the ability I give Regigigas is something that perfectly uses something Game Freak threw at us for Regigigas, and it's like the best ability you could possibly give him that's realistic. So I try to do the same thing with Dialga. You let me know a better idea if you have one, but this is what it is. So if Dialga Mega Evolved, he would stay a Steel Dragon type. That's just the typing Dialga is. The three space-time trio legendaries, they sort of have a third typing, Psychic. They're these time-space gods. They have this kind of psychic ability deep inside what they are, which is why Dialga and Palkia, their hidden ability is telepathy. They can telepathically not hit their allies in battle. If they were to get a third typing, it would be Psychic. But I don't think you can sacrifice Steel Dragon for like Steel Psychic or even make him pure Steel. Here's one Mega Dialga, and this doesn't really expand onto Dialga the way you would expect the Mega 2. His form does grow a lot bigger with a lot of additions and this big diamond in the back, but it's just not enough. Of course, you have to remember there's technically a Primal Dialga that exists. There's a reason he's called Primal in that game, and this isn't exactly the same Primal. The Primal Dialga you see in the Mystery Dungeon games is more of a corrupted Dialga or Dark Dialga. So this one is not in the normal artwork you're used to in Pokemon, but when you look at this, you do get a sort of alternate Chroma vibe from a completed Dialga. If Dialga brought out a good amount of his full power, you would expect some sort of serpenty, full dragon looking legendary. Like this Dialga looks more of a dragon than the Dialga we got. Here's another one. This one has defensive elements added to it. It just looks really bulky. Oh, this is what I'm talking about. This is the best design I've seen hands down. Everything's checked off the list for a Primal / Mega Dialga. The glowing patterns, check. Telepathic, ancient, levitating crest, its head expanding into a crown because he's the king of time, check. All in all, Kyogre, Groudon, Rayquaza, don't think of Rayquaza, he really changes up the formula. But Kyogre and Groudon, they pretty much expand the same way this Dialga design expands. This is the winning one. So here we go, we've got Dialga's stats. The main difference between Palkia and Dialga is one, Palkia has stronger special defense and Dialga has stronger sturdy physical defense. Both of them have 120 attack and an insanely high 150 special attack, but the other big difference between them is that Palkia sacrifices some of its HP for speed, which makes perfect sense. He's not carrying that heavy diamond and he's faster, and Dialga meanwhile is slower but has more HP. Alright, here we go. When Dialga Mega Evolves, this is the stat distribution I went with. Here's Dialga, here's Mega Dialga. So remember the Game Freak BS that they pull. First off, his attack goes up by 40 points from 120 all the way to 160. The plus side is if you're running this in the metagame, you can trick the opponent and run a physical Dialga. You can do whatever you want. His defense goes up by 20 points. Dialga is known for its defense, so he's gonna increase his defense. But the biggest change is that its special attack goes from 150 all the way to 180, maxing out at 504 special attack. This is in the territory of Mega Rayquaza and Mega Mewtwo. When Dialga is sent out and he Mega Evolves, you have to be careful from any special attack. Roar of Time, Flash Cannon, you gotta be scared of Aurora Beam from this thing. What moves does he learn? Yeah, Swift, that's an OHKO move. Sleeping Primal Dialga's Snore. Let it be known, Kyogre and Groudon's primal forms go up to 770 BST. This is a small fact for you. Dialga and Palkia are stronger than Kyogre and Groudon. But the last change to Dialga is his speed. His speed formerly at 90 will go up to 100. And that's the stat distribution I went with. When it comes to speed, yes, he does have kind of like the Mega Garchomp feel. Like he's getting bigger, he's getting heavier. Surely he's getting slower. But when it comes to Pokemon like Dialga and Palkia, they have this kind of like mystical thing to them. His overall godly powers would increase to where he's faster, even if he's carrying more weight. Okay, now to get into the ability for Dialga. Now when it comes to Dialga's ability, you need to somehow incorporate time into it. Dialga and Palkia deal with time and space. If you don't incorporate this into their abilities now, then what's the point? No matter what happens, they will get an ability that will reflect what they can do. There are minor abilities you can give in terms of time, like when Dialga is sent out, every turn the enemy speed goes down, almost like Dialga is messing with time and causing the enemy to go slower. But for Dialga to get an ability like that just doesn't live up to what Primal Dialga should be. So I have the winning ability right here. This is the ability I've gone with. So when Dialga Mega Evolves, its ability goes from pressure to time skip. And what time skip does, I want you to think about it for a sec. What time skip does is at the end of every turn, a second turn passes. This is fun. This is fun. I just want you to think about that wording for a bit. It's really hard to do this because you have to think about it being Pokemon. You have to think of an ability that can be fitting in Pokemon. You can't just make an ability where suddenly you play the whole game different. This is an ability that can work. So, at the end of every turn, a second turn passes. Time skip would be an ability that affects everyone on the field, kind of like Yveltal and Xerneas' abilities. The fairy boost and the dark boost affects both the enemy and you. I want you to just let that ability sink in, sizzle in your head, and think of all the possibilities or what I'm even meaning in that ability. I'll tell you to start off what this means. Let me just give you a couple ideas. It's just it's so fun introducing an ability like this. You can have so much fun with using it in battle. This means Dialga can use Hyper Beam and he doesn't need to recharge because 2 turns pass every turn. Additionally, what this means is that if Dialga is burnt at the end of the turn, his health goes down 1/16 and then again another 16th. If the enemy's toxic, they take toxic damage once and then twice. If the enemy has the ability Moody, they get that stat change once, get that stat change twice. If Regigigas is on the other side of the field, he gets 1 slow start turn, 2 slow start turns at the end of the turn. It's the same initial confusion like Aegislash's ability would have given you. Like, what is this? Use King Shield and he changes forms. But once it makes sense, once it settles in, you understand what I'm saying here, it is golden. So what this means is that there's essentially a phantom second turn that's always happening. The turn will pass automatically and no one can make a move, but the turn still passes. So all residual damages will still go through. If Dialga uses Hyper Beam, he recharges on that phantom turn. Dialga is skipping time, and it's a turn both Dialga and the enemy can't access, but it still happens. And since it affects both you and the enemy, you're both involved in this time game. There's certain ways you can use a move in the phantom turn. So for example, Dialga can charge up a Solar Beam and he would go first, charge it up, the enemy would make its turn, and then in the second phantom turn, Dialga would fire it. An alternative approach to this ability is to literally just skip the second phantom turn straight to the end phase, so that moves like Fly, Solar Beam, Geomancy are skipped, so they can't work. Dig, they just don't work. But I like the idea of there actually being a phantom turn that if you can play your cards right, you can manipulate. But the most important reason I came up with this ability is that why have a signature move you can't use? It's rubbish. Dialga has the signature move Roar of Time, a Hyper Beam that's dragon typed, but it's just not usable because you have to recharge, especially in the metagame. You just can't use it. Draco Meteor, which halves your attack after using it, is far better because you can at least control your turn after that. And Spatial Rend, Palkia can just fire those left and right. Palkia can fire 2 Spatial Rends while Dialga just fires 1. This fixes it. This actually makes it so Dialga can just launch out Roars of Times again and again and again. 5 turns in a row, he can keep using it. And with that 180 special attack, that's terrifying. And that's exactly what Dialga should have. I can't lie. I've explained this ability like 4 times in this video. I hope one of them made sense. If I looked unamused in the way I explained it, it's because that was probably the 4th time. There's so many fun things you can do. Hail damage, toxic damage, leftovers would heal twice. And if you want to think deep into it, there are some grounds. Like for example, Protect is not gonna have an effect in the phantom turn. You can't just keep using Protect since the second turn is passing. It would have its limits. But yeah, it's so good, you know. That's my favorite ability I could come up with, and I really want it to happen now. I really want there to be a reason Dialga has this signature move. Essentially what you're doing is creating the backstory to why we got the signature move 15 years ago. Dialga always had this ability, but he was just in his normal form, his base form. Now he's playing with time, and now you're in trouble. In actuality, with how defensive Mega Dialga is with these stats, you would run toxic on it. It'd be so annoying if you toxic the enemy and 2 turns pass. So good. But I'll give you a Pee-wee one before I leave. Time Shift. This is the most overpowered ability, but it's an ability where Dialga always goes first. You know, Dialga does have this ability. I'm telling you, if Dialga can mess with time, he can already do this. He just chooses not to. But of course, that's overpowered. If Dialga always goes first, there are mini versions of this ability. For example, Gale Wings, flying moves on Talonflame go first. And Prankster, status moves like Toxic go first. But Dialga would just have the king version of that ability, where anything it does goes first. As overpowered as this ability is, Time Shift, Dialga has priority. It's not as good as that time skip ability when I just want to spam Roars of Time. I just want to equip Dialga with a bunch of moves that allows him to maximize how much he messes with time with this ability. I don't have enough time to look through his moves. You guys let me know if you come up with any cool ideas. A lot of stuff. For example, if the enemy sets up a light screen, 2 turns pass. You're skipping time to get rid of that light screen fast. Same thing with Trick Rooms. And I have the Palkia side of this, but this is a more fully powered Dialga that you feel like would just have such a sick animation sequence fighting Palkia. Skipping time, launching Roars of Time and appearing somewhere else because he's skipping time. It's just so good. It's what Dialga deserves. But yeah, that's it. Shank that like button. Let me know a better idea if you got one. Top my plans, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.
This the sound of my alchemy, the greatest success for all those who fell for me. I always respect the friends who wish well for me and live until the end and die. All time will tell for me, but I ain't going anywhere, believe me. And I'll be flowing everywhere you see me.